Welcome to King's Corner. I'm your host, Christian King. On today's episode, we're talking about the NFC North, one of the most historic divisions in all of football. All four teams last year had winning records of 9-8 or better. And I got to be honest with you, some of their off seasons are going to show they're not going to win at least 9 games. And that's why we're going to start with the Green Bay Packers. I gave them a C minus, as you can see. And it's just for the fact that I said to you guys the other day that Matt Eberflus is one of the worst defensive minds in all of football. Well, the Packers went out and they got a new defensive coordinator who comes from the same philosophy as Matt Eberflus. His name is Jonathan Gannon. He used to be the defense coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. He runs this heavy cover two, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work in today's era, and I don't think it ever will work again. He relies on the front four pressure, which is needed, but he relies on this thing called spot coverage. In today's league, you got to play a lot of match coverage and man coverage because offenses can manipulate spot coverage easily. The only offense that's ever been destroyed by spot coverage are these college offenses like a Cliff Kingsbury or Chip Kelly. But unless you're playing that, this spot coverage is going to get eaten alive every week. And you need, just in order for it to have a chance in today's era, you need a pass rush. And they got rid of Rashawn Gary. Micah Parsons might not be back till week 8. Their interior defense line, they got Javon Hargrave, who hasn't been good since he was in Philly. I just don't see what the Packers' ideas were this offseason. I really don't agree with anything they've done. Maybe I'm wrong. Matt LaFleur is always going to be a good offensive mind with Jordan Love, but in order for this team to get to where they ultimately want to be, and that's a Super Bowl champion, they have to have Jordan Love improve, and it's just not going to happen. Jordan Love has that Brett Favre in him where he'll just make the dumbest play at the dumbest times. And I just see it hurting him. And in order to overcome that, you have to have a defense that's going to get stops. And I just don't see Jonathan Gannon able to produce that for the Green Bay Packers. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Jonathan Gannon figured out a new scheme while he was in Arizona, but it wasn't him calling plays in Arizona. Their defense looked great because of Nick Rallis, who's still the defensive coordinator there in Arizona. I truly believe the Packers made a woeful mistake this offseason. Maybe I'm wrong, but let me know in the comments for all you Packers fans if you think I am wrong. Now let's move on to our next team. As you can see, I'm giving the Minnesota Vikings a C. I thought they had some good moves, but I disagreed with everything they did on the defensive side. They lost all their interior depth that they had. Granted, last year it wasn't the greatest, but I just don't trust their nose tackles and their defensive tackles. They got rid of Jonathan Gennard, who was their best edge rusher, and I don't trust Dallas Turner yet to take the next step. Brian Flores' scheme, I know, is more reliant on the scheme than it is the talent around it, but you still need some talent in order to thrive, and I just don't think he has the talent in order to survive. Now, granted, the offense should be back up to standard this year. I've heard J.J. McCarthy has had a tremendous offseason, and I've heard him and Kyler Murray are duking it out. But I will tell you what I'm concerned about is it doesn't seem J.J. McCarthy has the leadership down to be a quarterback in this league, which is why I think Kyler Murray will end up winning the job. But either way you look at it, I don't trust either quarterback. J.J. McCarthy seems to have the quarterback IQ of Jamarcus Russell, and Kyler Murray seems to just be too short. I told you guys the other day, if your quarterback's below 6 foot, I do not trust him. The only quarterback I've ever trusted below the height of 6 feet, there's been 2 actually, not 1. Russell Wilson and Drew Brees, and Russell Wilson had a very small prime. And as you can see, Kyler Murray's closer to Russell Wilson than he will ever be. Drew Brees, and he's not even on Russell Wilson's level, if we're going to be honest with each other. But maybe the Vikings proved me wrong. Maybe their defense is better than what I'm giving them credit for. They lost Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith has been one of the best safeties in all of football for a long time. You're taking that leader out of that room. I just don't see where the Vikings are going to be producing on the defensive side of the ball, and I think they need to produce turnovers so that this offense can have more and more opportunities. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Vikings have a better offseason than what I've given them credit for. But let's move on. And move on we shall. As you can see, my next team, the Chicago Bears, they had a whale of a 2025. I know Bears fans everywhere loved it. But there's a few reasons I'm down on the Bears right now. One, I just don't think their offensive line is back to what it was last year. They lost Drew Doleman, who was the centerpiece of that offensive line. He was a Pro Bowl, All-Pro center from Atlanta who came over, and he was great last year. And he retired early at the age of 27. I don't blame him. There's been a lot of head injuries there. But in order to survive, in order to thrive in this Ben Johnson offense, you need a very stable offensive line. If you can't have that, the system fails because it relies on a lot of deep crossing routes, deep progression routes. And yes, it has its intermediate and short progression routes, as every offense does. But he relies on a lot of heavy play action, heavy personnel. In order for this to thrive, you have to have big blocking offensive line. and I'm just not sure he has that right now. The offensive line is not going to be horrible, but it's downgraded from what it was. And Caleb Williams showed you his rookie year. He is not afraid to hold on to that ball, and last year he held on to the ball. It's just that the Bears' offensive line was able to protect him. Will it happen back-to-back years? Maybe, but there's also something that the Bears didn't have last year. There's the target on their back. Everybody's looking at the Bears and going, we can beat them. And the Bears are going to have to change how they play this year. Last year, they were known as the Cardiac Bears, and that only can get you so far. In the NFL, it's very rare that back-to-back seasons you win games the exact same way. The only team I've ever seen do that is Kansas City, and that's because they have the greatest quarterback for the last 5 years, and that's Patrick Mahomes. And you can see last year it started to struggle. But unless the Bears change the way they do things and Caleb Williams starts to be able to hit the layups, I just don't see how their offense was an improvement. I didn't like their draft. Free agency was an but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Bears end up having an off season and I was just blind all along. But let's get to first place. And if you have been watching my podcast, you would have already known who first place would have been. It had to be the Detroit Lions. I absolutely loved every move they made this offseason. Drew Petzing is a great offensive coordinator who's going to get the most out of the talent they have. If we're going to be honest with each other, the best offensive coordinator in the entire league belongs to Detroit. That 1-2 punch of Isaiah Pacheco and Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the best 1-2 punches at running back in the entire league. Then you look at the receiving core, you got Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams, and Isaac Tesla is an underrated receiver who I absolutely loved last year. He's a physical body, loves the block, can make physical catches. If I'm a Lions fan, I'm thrilled to watch him. And the biggest thing that Drew Petzing brings is a tight end-centric offense. I mean, look what he did for Trey McBride. Trey McBride was a good tight end, but he just couldn't get to the next level. Under Drew Petzing, he turned him into an all-pro tight end and arguably the best tight end in all of football. Sam Laporta is arguably just as talented as Trey McBride, and I honestly cannot wait to see what he does in this new scheme. I truly believe he's going to be the one that benefits the most from it. For all you fantasy players out there, Sam Laporta is a must-get name this year because he's going to have opportunities all across the board. I cannot wait to watch it. And the defense, I still think that the Lions defense leaves a little to be desired, which is why they got a B+ and not an A. But I still think they have enough pieces there to be competent enough to get to a Super Bowl if they need to. The only problem is the NFC is one stacked conference. I mean, I told you guys about you still have the Eagles, you have the Rams, the Seahawks. I mean, you have all these teams in the NFC. It's not like the AFC where it's wide open. I mean, it's very clouded, contested here, and congested in the AFC and the NFC. But please let me know what you guys think of these rankings. This is the NFC North, which means Monday we're going to the AFC North, which is the most storied division in all of football in the AFC. And I cannot wait to talk about it. But anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I look forward to seeing you Monday. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, please subscribe. And if you have the inclination, please comment. Let me know what your grades are. Anyway, thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. King's Corner.